Police in Huntington Park, California shot and killed a 36-year-old man by the name of Anthony Lowe Jr., who happened to be a double amputee as he was trying to run away from them. So the act of running away from cops is an indicator that you should maybe find ways to de-escalate the situation and avoid escalating the situation by chasing after him with your guns, but that is not what happened, unfortunately. So I will give you more detail after we watch the video so you can understand how absurd it was for cops to open fire on a double amputee as he was attempting to get away from them. It is a disturbing video to say the least, but with that said, here it is. So police claim that they were responding to a 911 call regarding a victim who was allegedly stabbed by a man in a wheelchair. So when they arrived to the scene, since Anthony Lowe Jr. was in possession of a butcher knife, he was the suspect that they were pursuing. And as you can see in the video, he's very clearly trying to get away. And the cops decide he's waving a butcher knife, and we're afraid. We have guns and we have all sorts of weapons and everything, and this is a double amputee. But we're afraid because the double amputee who's trying to get away from us has a butcher knife in his hands. So we're just going to open fire after they allegedly tried to tase him. And I say allegedly because right now the story is still developing. I feel like most of the reports have the perspective and the narrative put out by the cops themselves. Based on the videos that I viewed, which were not body camera videos, they do not wear body cam videos in Huntington Park, at the Huntington Park Police Department. But based on what I've seen so far from bystander videos, I haven't seen the tasing component to it. I mean, it might be true, but I wanna see that with my own eyes. So as I said earlier, the police claimed that they were responding to a 911 call from a victim of a stabbing. The individual, whose identity has not been released, claimed that the person who stabbed this individual was in a wheelchair. Huntington Park Police Department officers responded to a report of a stabbing, the department said in a statement. Responding officers found a victim suffering from a life-threatening stab wound resulting in a collapsed lung and internal bleeding, the statement said. So I want to pause right there because it is totally justified to pursue Anthony Lowe as a suspect, especially if you see him in a wheelchair, you see him holding a knife, you get a 911 call about a stabbing victim. It's totally fine to pursue him as a suspect. But again, I ask this over and over again. Do we want to live in a country where we just give cops the ability to execute anyone, even if the individual they killed didn't really pose an imminent threat to their lives? And to be clear, in California, in order for a cop to justifiably shoot and kill someone, the person that they shot and killed had to have posed an imminent threat to the cops. And again, yes, he's holding a butcher knife, but he's a double amputee who's trying to run away from them. A victim described the attacker as a black man in a wheelchair who dismounted the wheelchair, ran to the victim without provocation and stabbed him in the side of the chest with a 12-inch butcher knife and then fled the scene in his wheelchair. And that again is according to the police department here. Lowe was struck by gunfire in the upper torso and was pronounced dead at the scene. Based on what I heard in the videos that were posted on TikTok, there were approximately 9 to 11 shots. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Homicide Unit is investigating this, which does not make me feel good about the investigation by any means. And it typically does these investigations for all shootings involving the Huntington Park Police Department officers, and that's according to the lieutenant's statement. The lieutenant for Huntington Park Police is Hugo Reynaga, and he said in a phone interview on Sunday that the sheriff's department has collected video of Lowe's shooting from a nearby business, but that it does not intend to release the footage. Huntington Park police officers, he said, do not wear body cameras. Now, asked why it was necessary to shoot Lowe, the lieutenant noted that the officers repeatedly tased him to no effect before opening fire. The Los Angeles Sheriff's Department's initial statement about the shooting investigation released Friday said Lowe twice tried to throw his knife at officers. But Reynaga said Sunday that Lowe did not throw the knife ultimately, but he made the motion multiple times over his head like he was going to throw the knife. So for anyone who thinks, oh, well, this guy was suspected of stabbing someone, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, he should be pursued by the authorities. He should be taken into custody and he should stand trial because we're supposed to have a justice system where everyone who is accused of a crime gets to make their case in court, defend themselves in court. You can't just allow police to execute people based on whether or not they believe the individual committed the crime, based on whether or not they're offended by the individual running away from them. So again, to be clear, I'm not saying, oh, I mean, cops should have completely left him alone. He should be able to do whatever he wants. No, I'm arguing that it is not up to the cops to carry out extrajudicial killings. It is up to the cops to apprehend the suspect, and prosecutors are supposed to investigate and potentially charge that individual with a crime if they suspect that that individual, and if they have the evidence indicating that that individual committed the crime. That is how our justice system is supposed to work. But a lot of people don't get to see their first day in court. They're executed by the cops prior to that. And that is what happened here, again, with a double amputee. So the involved officers were, of course, placed on paid administrative leave pending ongoing investigations from the police department, the sheriff's department's homicide bureau, and the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office. The child of one of Lowe's children, he has 2 children. Her name is Ebonique Simon. She came out and spoke to the press about this and said, he was experiencing severe depression following both of his legs getting amputated from the knee down. That happened about a year ago. And although we don't have any details about this yet, apparently that happened after an altercation he had with cops in Texas. No details have been released about that yet. I'm sure we'll learn more soon, but clearly he was experiencing depression. There are people, there's countless people in California alone right now who are living on the streets experiencing severe mental health issues. And we don't do anything about getting them the help and the treatment they need. And so when they end up having some sort of episode and the authorities are called, their lives are in danger. Okay, so there are all sorts of problems with our criminal justice system, with our healthcare system, that end up creating this incredibly dangerous, violent cocktail where people get killed. And if you're wondering, look, what were the cops supposed to do? The guy was waving his butcher knife around. He was a double amputee and everything, but he had the butcher knife. What were the cops supposed to do? There are ways to de-escalate the situation. In fact, there are examples of police de-escalating similar situations. So I'm gonna give you one example from Baltimore in 2017, okay? This was an instance where authorities were called because there was a man with a knife. He was being threatening with the knife. And when Baltimore police showed up, here's what happened.
187 guys, do not get too close behind me.
Mr. Let me just talk to you real quick, man. Mr. Just talk to you real quick, please. Stop. Let's not get this further than what we need to, all right? Just drop it down. Please. Just drop it, bro. Just drop it.
Why don't I want to shoot you?
Huh?
Why don't y'all want to shoot me?
Because we don't want to.
I don't want to live here.
Can you just talk to me right now?
I don't want to live.
Everybody, just go across the street. Stand across the street. Just stand right here, man. Just drop it right here. Just drop it right here, man. I can talk to you. Look, I'm 38 years old. I can relate to you, bro. There's not a thing in this world that I have not dealt with that you probably have dealt with. Okay? At the end of the day, I got kids to go home to.
Drop it. Just
appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Calm down.
Just relax. Just relax. Just relax. Relax.
I don't know if you guys could hear it in the video, but at one point, the man holding the knife asked the cop, "Why don't you just shoot me?" And the cop's like, "I don't want to shoot you." And notice how he de-escalated that situation that could have easily escalated the way that we've seen with other police stories that we've covered on this show, including the one we're covering right now involving Anthony Lowe. This cop with the Baltimore Police Department did a great job in de-escalating the situation and getting the individual to hand over his knife. There are ways to do this. There are other videos that have been shared on Twitter today that show other examples of cops finding ways to de-escalate situations where an individual is actually a lot more aggressive than what we just saw. They de-escalate it, they manage to get the weapon away from the person, and then they're able to take the person into custody without murdering them, without carrying out an extrajudicial killing. Now, the man in the video that we just showed you, he was having depression issues of his own. He was having some issues with his girlfriend. He was depressed. He was experiencing some emotional pain and he was spiraling. And he has the opportunity to live his life, get things in order without a cop killing him because he's having this terrible moment in his life or spiraling. I'm gonna give you another example. So in San Jose, California, last year, there was a man holding two weapons, one in each hand. One was an axe, the other was a knife, okay? So again, last year in San Jose, California, video at the scene showed the suspect walking around with the weapons, one in each hand. He seemed agitated and was pacing back and forth. Police said the man repeatedly ignored commands to drop his weapons, and then he broke into the gym. He was seen throwing objects at police officers before barricading himself inside for nearly 2 hours. And guess what they did? There was a standoff. It lasted 2 hours. They finally got him to turn himself in, hand over the weapons, and he was taken into custody without incident. Here's what the San Jose Police Department put out following his arrest. A swift response by our units contained the suspect, and officers began negotiating by using crisis intervention and de-escalation techniques. Oh wow, looks like those techniques actually exist, and oftentimes, if they're utilized, they can be successful. The rest of the tweet says the suspect surrendered after discarding his weapons and was taken into custody. He was taken into custody to face charges, to be investigated, to be prosecuted. So it's not an argument to allow people to get away with murder or to get away with whatever they're accused of. This is an argument to allow Americans to see their day in court rather than allow for state-sanctioned violence and murder. It's not that hard to understand that. And it's okay to be a decent human being and you don't have to immediately, if you're on the right, for instance, you don't have to immediately have this knee-jerk reaction of providing cover for the cops. And if you're on the left, in some cases, you don't have to whitewash what the suspect is accused of. The suspect should have the ability to defend themselves in court. We have a justice system that allows for that if the cops, avoid shooting and killing the suspect. Another man in California shot and killed by cops. And in this case, it's just so unbelievably absurd that we're talking about a double amputee.
Here at TYT, we work to cut through all the establishment media's biases and bring you the news from a factual and progressive viewpoint. Now allow me to introduce you to Ground News, a new tool that you can use to stay informed on what's really going on around the world. Ground News doesn't just bring you the information, it also provides you with an easy to use rating system that measures each article's political leanings, factuality, and gives you complete transparency on who owns the news that you're reading. Like today, I was on their site and I saw an article about some improvements in the ozone layer. And I was a little skeptical because good news about the climate is pretty rare these days. But with over 100 sources originating from an even spread of news organizations, I was confident that what I was reading was true. So score one for Earth. So get the whole picture and break through the corporate media agenda by subscribing to Ground News today.